Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Carpenter's CPP Events, and I am here with Timur, and we are getting ready for C++ on C, June 23rd to the 25th. And, something different this year, as I've pointed out, we're doing workshops after the conference. So if you want to join a workshop, it'll be perfect. The 26th and 27th, make sure you check those out. Timur, thanks for joining me this morning.
Hello, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And I say this morning, but like you're in Finland now, right? So it's got to be late afternoon for you.
It's 6 p.m., yes.
Yeah. It's nice. I grew up in Washington State, and I remember, and even when I visit Europe, the thing that I love is the summers. You get those late evenings, so I remember getting like sunset about 10:30, but I'm guessing it's even a little later for you.
Well, actually, I'm so far north that it doesn't get dark at all.
Oh, wow.
So the sun kind of just dips below the horizon, but it never gets dark. You get like a couple hours of this twilighty kind of the sun has just set, kind of golden light, and then it just rises again. So there's a month where it just never gets dark. You get just daylight 24/7.
Lots of time to practice coding, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to tell everyone, if you don't know Timur, then you're probably not listening to CPP Cast because he co-hosts, and you should check that out. And you're with the ISO Standard Committee. You co-host the chair of the SG21 and Contract Study Group, which is of course important to your keynote that you're giving. Yeah.
Yeah. Contracts have something to do with it.
So I have to, I was joking with you before this. I'm like, I have to make the joke. You really are a rocket scientist before you did computers and audio stuff, right? I mean, astrophysics is, kind of
So
cool.
That's kind of cool. That's why I got into it, because I was watching lots of Star Trek, and when I was, growing up, and I decided, hey, I want to do the real thing and study like the universe and space and stuff. But no, I was actually doing kind of computational astrophysics, like galaxy dynamics and things like that. And through that, I actually learned how to code. And then I was like, hey, actually, C++ is even more fun than all of this galaxy stuff. So let me do that instead. That's kind of how it happened.
Well, and obviously, and I've, so okay, Timur, I've known you. We've known each other from conferences. You help with CPP Con. You're the conference chair,
Actually, no,
and
I'm the program chair. I'm not the conference chair.
program chair. Yeah,
John Calp
John,
is the conference chair.
yeah, John will hold me for
So
that.
I'm kind
That's
of
right.
responsible for the program of the conference, and he's kind of the the person for all
The
the other
whole
stuff,
conference.
which is like
Yeah,
a lot of stuff. So
yeah. It's kind of nice having a narrow focus. I help with speakers there, and that kind of goes to your cat herding part. I think we'll get to that.
mhm.
But obviously you do a lot of audio too, as I see the keyboard sitting there. You got a good mic set up. So kind of a favorite thing. Do you do C++ with audio as well?
So I've done that for, I don't know, over 10 years. Not lately though. So I'm not actively right now involved in like any audio related projects, but obviously it's a big hobby of mine. It's also making music as a hobby still. So if I can find time for it. So yeah, it's always been kind of part of what I do. And maybe one day I'll get back into doing more audio stuff. So definitely open to that.
Right on. So you got your keynote that you're doing this year. Congrats. I mean, definitely keynote material. So contract safety in the art of cat herding, that'll be on Tuesday, the 24th at the end of the day. So everyone wants to show up for that. So you make a strong push for C++ being safer and more secure, as it's talking about in the title. And I was telling you before this, like, I don't do a lot of templates. I understand contracts a little bit. So give me the 10,000 foot overview of contracts and why they're important for us.
Okay, so contracts, it's not everything I'm going to talk about in my keynote. Contracts are just like a little part of it, right? But
Yeah.
so contracts are basically a specification of when do you consider your program to be correct and doing the thing that you intended it to do, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like there's two sides to it. Like, how do you correctly use this library or this function? How do you call this function? How do you use this class? There's a precondition, for example, like if you're
Right.
not doing it like this, you're doing it wrong. Then there's also a postcondition, right? If you're doing it correctly, then you get a result or an effect or something, an output, which is supposed to be like this. And if that contract is fulfilled, then your program is correct. It does what it's designed to do, right? At a very, very 10,000 feet, like kind of level, right? So
Right.
that's what a
Right.
contract is. And then what we have in CPLUS 26 is that we have contract assertions, which is you can take uh, some part of that like total contract, like
Hmm.
we call it the plain language contract, like the specification, which is often unwritten. It just exists in your head, right?
Right.
It's your intention. So some part of that you can often translate into code, like a check,
Hmm.
like does this actually fulfill this particular condition?
Right.
And so we have a feature to actually add those checks, and you can say pre whatever, post whatever, and actually write out those conditions under which your program is considered correct or incorrect, and have them checked optionally at runtime, and that's going to find bugs, and that's going to help you write correct code. So that's kind of the idea of contracts.
Gotcha. And so, looking at the description of your talk, though, you're going into a lot of, if I'm understanding right, like how you work this through, and things that are going on in the committee, and even to the point of what we consider correct code, or getting everyone to agree to what safety is, and
Mhm.
the part of whether or not undefined behavior is, I don't want to say good or bad, but the fact of whether or not we have to remove it. So you want to add a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've kind of been thinking about this, and I'm not yet done with actually like writing the talk, so that's going to be an ongoing process over the next couple of weeks. But the way I want to structure it is like three parts. I think it kind of like, okay, everything I learned about working on contracts, but also listening to all of the other stuff that other people were working on in terms of safety and security and all of these other work that was going on over the last couple of years in the committee, and kind of just step back and like, how can we make sense of all of this? And then it's kind of like it has three parts. The first part is what I just said. It's like, okay, so there's contracts, which is a part of it. There's profiles, which other people have been working on, which is another approach. There's like yet another approach. And then there's these things like safety, security, undefined behavior that we all care about. Safety, actually, I don't think is a good concept in itself because people mean very different things. Some people,
Right.
when they say it's safe, they mean it doesn't have undefined behavior. Other people, when they say safe, they mean it's not going to explode and hurt you or something, which is
Right.
a completely different concept. And so I'm gonna kind of talk about the differences and of what do these words actually mean, and how can we make sense of them and connect them and use them kind of more appropriately. And it all kind of comes back to this idea of what's a correct program, which I kind of talked about just a couple of minutes ago. So I'm gonna try and give an overview over like that. And I've done this in previous talks before, but I think I kind of learned a little bit since then and figured out through conversations with other smarter people that like how to kind of explain this a bit better or whatever. So that's part one. Part two is, okay, now that we know that,
Right.
one problem that we do want to fix in a language is undefined behavior, which is kind of part of the safety issue, right?
Hmm.
So I've been working together with Joshua Byrne on a paper P3100, which is now out. The last revision R2, P3100 R2, which is an approach to kind of categorize and eliminate undefined behavior from the language. And we've been looking at this very systematically. We looked at every single place in the standard where like the word undefined appears, and like we classified them, and we said, okay, is this something that can be addressed by runtime checks, or can it
Okay.
be statically maybe addressed, or can we redefine it so that it just does something else which isn't undefined? Can we detect these things locally, or do we need like instrumentation, like a sanitizer? So we went through all of this very systematically, and there's like a kind of a result from that work, which is here's what we suggest we should do, and I'm going to present that whole chunk of work. That's kind of part two. And then the final part of the keynote is, okay, but doing all of this is really hard. And one of the problems why this is so hard is not because it's technically hard. I mean, it is. And lots of
Yep.
people, they like believing that, this is the main challenge, that it's technically hard to do. And yes, it is. But another big challenge is the human aspect. Like, we have lots of people in the room. Everybody thinks they're like the smartest and most experienced person. And everybody has been on the committee and has been sent like by their employer to represent them or their country or their users, and so that's a lot of responsibility. So people have very strong opinions, and people know a
Hmm.
lot of things, but people also have very strong opinions, and a lot of the time they conflict with each other.
Yeah.
And also people have different personalities, right? Some people
Right.
are kind of more shy, then don't talk very much. Other people are very kind of, how do you say this,
Open and
extrovert,
outgoing.
and they're like try to like they keep talking and talking and talking about why they're right and how to solve this problem. And so, how do you navigate this kind of space, and how do you agree on, this is what we should be doing for
Right.
any particular technical decision? And so I found that to be hard and challenging, probably the single hardest thing, like in my 8-9 years on the committee now. But I kind of think I figured out a few things that are helpful to navigate situations like this. So I want to just talk about kind of decision making in a scenario where it's not like there's a boss who says we're going to do this, or it's
Mhm.
democracy, and until everybody agrees, nobody agrees, and nothing happens, and you're just stuck. But like,
Yeah.
how do you actually make progress on like really difficult technical issues where people have strong, like, incompatible opinions? And so there's a kind of a bit of a framework, a way to go around this, which I found very helpful to navigate these people issues. And I want to like talk about that a little bit. I think that might be helpful for people beyond all of the C++ talk. And it's actually exciting because it's the first time I'm going to be talking about non-C++ stuff. So I'm kind of a bit excited and nervous, but let's see how that goes.
I can tell. And it's kind of funny because now hearing all of that, I'm like, yeah, contracts is just, a very, very small blurb at the front of this, because
Mm-hmm.
the rest of that just sounds super exciting. And so if you don't have your tickets for C++ on C yet, you definitely want to get them. So you can come and see Timur talk about this and all the other great talks. So Timur, I'd want to ask you, like, this, how you've been to C++ on C 3 times now? More than that, right?
So I've been to the very first one. Was it 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's actually the first time I gave a talk about safety, I think. Or no, what? No, 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 no. Oh, that was wrong. What? I don't remember what I was talking about. Was I talking about pipe planning? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I went to 2019, then I skipped the kind of pandemic online version.
Yeah.
And then I think I was there in 22,
Yep.
and then I missed 23 and 24 because I had a teeny tiny baby here which needed my attention. And then no last
Life happens.
life happens. Yes.
So back for your third.
But now I'm back for my third. Yeah, I'm
So
very
what's your
excited.
favorite? What's your favorite part about C++? I mean, for all the conferences I know you and I've been to, what's your favorite part about C++ on C?
Oh, yeah. So like every conference that I keep coming back to is like special in its own way. So I don't
Yeah.
really want to rank them or anything,
No, no, no. But
but
that's why
like
I said, what do you like
CPPLC
about
is
this
a
one?
highlight. So it's just really stands out for a number of reasons. So I think it's like just the right size. Like
Hmm.
CPP con is obviously great, but it's like massive. So you just drown in a sea of people.
Yep.
And then there's like C++ Now, which is great, but it's kind of very small, kind of more exclusive, and it feels like cpponsea is right in the middle. It's like it's big enough that you get to talk to lots of awesome people, but small enough that you get to actually talk to everybody you want
Yeah.
to talk to. And then also I mean, obviously it's more accessible because I'm in Europe. It's also in
Yep.
Europe, so it's always a bit difficult to like fly to a different continent. So it's easier to get to. The venue is fantastic.
Yes.
So I grew up. I was born in a city that's kind of also on the sea. So this kind of
Yeah.
idea of having a beach and sea and this kind of view. Like I was born in a place like this. So for me, it calms me down and it makes me feel more, I don't know, good.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful venue. You have the sea view. You have beautiful kind of resort town in England. I just like the whole setting there. And I think my favorite part, apart from obviously Phil doing an awesome job at organizing the thing and just knowing how to do these things, and you're helping him again, which I'm very happy about. So that means it's gonna be even greater. But my favorite part is the community, is kind of the
Yeah.
vibe, is how people there just, I don't know, they're just so nice. It's just
Yeah.
like it feels like this. Even if I don't necessarily know somebody, it's just, oh, yeah, I'm like among friends. I
So
can't really put my
approachable.
finger on what it is, but it just
Yeah.
feels really good. It feels like I'm at home. This is my kind of community, and I think that other people feel like that too who go there.
That's perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Like I said, everyone, if you don't have your tickets yet, make sure to get them. And looking forward to seeing you at C++ on C. Thank you,
See you
Timur.
there. Thank you, Kevin.